Bonjour everyone, I am your humble French tarot reader slash deck goblin marine. We're gonna be doing a very highly requested video, which is gonna be my make playing cards collection. I'll be sharing with you oracle decks and tarot decks that I found on Make Playing Cards. This is not sponsored, I wish it was. No, I bought all of these decks with my own money. Some of them were sent to me by friends. For those of you who don't know, Make Playing Cards is a print-on-demand website where a lot of people put their tarot and oracle decks for grabs for us to be able to purchase, as it kind of removes all of the shipping and packaging and everything hassle for them, as the decks are being printed on demand. So it's kind of like a cool way for people to be able to share some of their creations, and it's full of really cool hidden gems, tarot decks, oracle decks, Lenormand playing cards that people have created where potentially they don't really want to be dealing with, again, shipping, having a website and all of that, as Make Playing Cards take care of that for them. So MPC, or Make Playing Cards, but I'll say MPC from now on, is full of really awesome tarot and oracle decks. The only problem is that it is a pain to navigate. It's definitely not the most easy website to kind of navigate, and it's kind of hard to find the cool decks on there unless you have word of mouth, or you're being told about them, or you spend hours scrolling like I do. Because of that, a lot of you requested me to share with you my collections of MPC decks, as I have found over the years some awesome gems. So before we get into it, there's going to be two parts to this video. The first part, I'll do a little quick navigation overview because some of you asked for this, sharing how to use the website because you found it really hard, and then we'll move on to me sharing with you my full MPC tarot and oracle collection. So make sure to check out the timestamps so you can navigate. In the description box, you're gonna find obviously all the names of the decks I'm gonna mention. If I have the spoons, I'll share links. I'm still dealing with a lot of chronic pain right now, so I'm doing what I can, and I would like to invite all those of you who have used MPC before, please share those with us below, as this is a great way for us in the comments to see what other hidden gems might be hiding in Make Playing Cards collection, in the whole archive. So please share your good tips below, word of mouth and all of that, as it's a nice way to support all of those awesome creators. In the description box, you'll find all of my other social media links. You'll find my other channels, the Waves of Your Soul readings, where I actually put all of these decks to good use, read the cards for you. I post monthly guidance, pick-a-pile readings, tarot readings on lots of different subjects. I invite you to subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into it. My deck goblin collection of Make Playing Cards decks. Let's go. So we're going to start by looking, as I mentioned, at the navigation very quickly. I mean, I'm not a pro or anything, but I just thought I'd share it with you. The website is a little bit tricky to navigate, but the best way that I have found to do it is to actually type at the top what I'm looking for, so tarot deck or oracle decks, and then you have to make sure that you're scrolling at the bottom, because at the top is not the designs that people have uploaded of their decks, you'll find at the bottom. So make sure to scroll all the way down the bottom once you've typed tarot decks or oracle decks, and then you click on see all, choose what you're looking for. So for me, it's playing cards. Tarot decks are considered playing cards, and then it's all divided into different categories. For me, I found most of my decks that I liked in artistic, or I have found them in nature, but you can see there's tons of options. You have a lot of scrolling you can do. I have spent hours and hours on this website, and I'm still only scratching the surface. For example, top here we have the Third Eye Tarot. That's one I'm really keen to get at some point, as it looks really cool and modern. There's tons of ones, and like I said, you can definitely be scrolling for a really long time. Now, in terms of actually searching for a specific deck, searching for it directly for the name in the search bar has been tricky for me. I've actually found it's way easier to go directly into Google to search for the name. So for example, here you can see I have searched for the Hellenic Oracle, which is one I'm going to be sharing with you today. And I look for that into Google. I type Hellenic Oracle MPC, and that's way easier to actually find the links this way than trying to look for it directly from the website. That's just my little tip. Arrive on the page of that particular deck, you will see that you you can click on the store. So that will take you to the artist store or the person who uploaded the decks. I encourage you to do that because before you actually like purchase a deck, you should check out, there's always, people usually put different options. They give you like pocket size. Sometimes they give you option with a tin, with edging, with no edging, with gilding, with no gilding. So if you go on the store of the person before you actually commit to the deck, you will find lots of different options. A lot of people tend to give people option, and that's a good way to make sure you're getting the deck you want, the size you want, and all of that. Not everyone does that, but I've noticed with experience, a lot of people give you different options. And on top of that, it's also a way to see if they have other decks you might like. Here, for example, I have the Hellenic Oracle with PDF. You are arriving at the actual place where you can check out the deck. If you click on open preview, you'll always see about 8 or 9, I can't remember, images. You can't see the whole deck on NPC, sadly. You can never check out all the images. A lot of the time I've actually bought blind just by checking like 8 images and just taking a leap of faith, hoping I like the rest of the decks. Or that's your point where you go on tarotube and hope that a kind soul has shared the deck with, shared a walkthrough, shared a flip through of the deck. You know, this is a website for sleuth. If you're not a sleuth, NPC is not for you. This is a website, you're going to have to do some sleuthing, you're going to have to tap into your inner Sherlock Holmes, but when you find a good gem, it makes it even better. And at the top, you can see that you will have the prices, because it say print on demand. If you're just getting it for yourself, you have to check the price for like between 1 and 5, which will be the price for one deck. In this case, it's $65. And then if you want more specs about the deck, then you go at the bottom, you'll have specs, you'll have descriptions, number of cards, you usually have the material that it's printed on and all of that. And then my tip is that often at the bottom you'll have related items suggested to you, and this is how I often have found some really cool ones, because instead of like scrolling through ages and ages, NPC will suggest similar kind of vibes, and usually in that related items bar, this is where I have found some other decks that really appeal to me. Again, you need to be doing some sleuthing, or you need to have heard of these decks through word of mouth, as it's not the easiest website to navigate, but when you find something cool, it is really awesome. One of the great things about decks on NPC is that a lot of the time they are created by fellow tarot tubers or content creators. So I encourage you, before you purchase, to put the name in YouTube and search, because a lot of the time people who have created the decks will share flip throughs and walkthroughs on their channels. That's true for most of the decks I'm going to share with you today. There's a couple where I didn't find a walkthrough and I kind of took a leap of faith, but overall mostly the creators, because they are usually like tarot lovers who oftentimes have either a YouTube channel or an Instagram page or something. They tend to share some of their decks on social media. Again, if you guys have any other decks on NPC you want to recommend, because word of mouth is always great for these. That's it for the little navigation part. I hope that helps, and without further ado, we're gonna get straight into me sharing my collection, and we're gonna start with Oracle decks. So let's go. So I'll start with Oracle because that's what I have the least of, and then we'll move on to Tarot. The first Oracle I wanted to mention is the one I've had the longest. This is the Hellenic Oracle, and this is by one of our fellow tarot content creator, Thea from Garden Goddess Tarot. I'll make sure to leave her channel down below. This is an Oracle deck based on Greek mythology, and it uses pre-existing artwork, and we have a really good mix of divinities, of certain, like, not just deities, but we also have nymphs and muses, and we have heroes. There's definitely a lot of cards. I can't really remember how many cards this is because I've had this since pretty much Thea put it online, so it's been a few years now, but of course I'll make sure to leave it down below. I think Thea offers a couple of options maybe, or if there's like a bigger one now with like even more cards, but this is absolutely stunning. As you can see, it reuses classical art. On each of the cards you have the name in Greek and you have the name in English as to what divinity, deity, hero, character of Greek mythology is represented. There is no guidebook in this one as far as I'm aware, but because I am a huge Greek mythology lover, I use this one purely intuitively. It kind of slaps in the sense of this one can be brutally honest. For me, the way I have like engaged with it, it tends to be very brutally honest, this deck. It tends to really not pull any punches. It has a really good balance of keywords and or at least of energy. You know, we have light and shadow here. We have some like very much a good balance of divinities, of archetype. I love all of the landscapes, particularly in this one. Absolutely stunning. I think Sia has done such a good job at choosing artwork that matches. This pairs so well with all of my classical decks, and for all of my mythology lovers, this is a joy. Obviously, because it doesn't come with a guidebook, you have to have a good base knowledge of like Greek myth. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a struggle if you have no idea who all of these people or archetypes are. This can also be an awesome study project, and one that I really enjoy using. As like I said, I really love Greek mythology. It's something I'm super passionate about. One of my favorite cards, the Siren, super beautiful. So I think Sia has done a beautiful job. The backs look like this, very beautiful, and it comes on linen cardstock, which is very flexible, easy to use. Again, there's tons of cards. I can't remember how many. You'll have to check on the website on the link, but it's really stunning, and one that I know a lot of you have and love. Continuing with the oracles, this is the Cemetery Oracle. This is the SS edition, and it has 80 cards from this particular creator. You could get also the revised edition of this Cemetery Oracle, which had even more cards, but I went with the smaller version, which is called the SS version, and it still has 80 cards, which is plenty. So absolutely gorgeous. And as the name suggests, the Cemetery Oracle is a deck that is inspired by cemeteries. Specifically, it uses pre-existing photos of statues and tombstones and like different elements of cemeteries to create an oracle deck. On each of the cards you'll see we have a statue or an object found in cemeteries, and we have a keyword. Now this one does not play, you guys. This is definitely a deck that has a very good variety of keywords. Some of those keywords can be very punchy, I will say. You know, we have defeat, we have decay. It's not a love and light kind of deck at all, right? There's a lot of keywords that can be quite, you know, we have neglect. This is a very much of a shadow kind of based oracle deck I have found in my personal practice. I have found that this is one that really doesn't pull any punches. It can really go there and show you some stuff you're not necessarily willing to look at, but that you might need to look at. There's definitely like keywords that are a lot lighter and, you know, more loving, like we have love and we have confidence, but we also have things like despair and dependent and resentment and denial. Like there's definitely a good balance of keywords, of themes here. And with 80 cards, this is another great one I find, because I love chunky decks. If you haven't watched my channel before, you should know I'm a greedy bitch. The more decks, the more cards, the better. More than 50, if it's even like 60, 80, anything like that, I love it. I love a chunky oracle deck. It makes me happy. And this one is definitely beautiful. It has a point of view. I think it's quite haunting in the best way possible. I've had some powerful readings with this one already, even though I've not had it very long, but it's definitely one I would approach with caution, because some of those cards hit. They just, you know, will tell you some stuff you might not want to hear. Again, because it's 80 cards though, you could remove some cards you don't like or whatever, you make it your own. But I find all of the images chosen so beautiful. I think the keywords are really smart and really beautifully chosen. This is a very powerful deck, like I said. Definitely one that feels quite haunting. Really special. Not one I've had for a long time, but one that has already made an impact in my practice, and one I'm excited to continue using in the future. The last oracle deck I want to mention today is this one, the Cannual Oracle Council of Yore. This is by J.A. Cannual, and this is again one of the most recent decks I have purchased on MPC. You will have seen it in my latest haul if you've watched that. If not, I'll make sure to leave it in the card somewhere. This one, you can have a PDF guidebook that you can download. There's like a little card with a website here. You can download the guidebook, which is really great. Actually, I've enjoyed reading what the creator had to say. This is one of those that is printed on linen cardstock, and one that again you can kind of make your own. I think the size I have here is tarot size. I think there's a Lenormand as well by this particular creator, so definitely lots of options and lots of awesome creations from this person. Gorgeous backs, I think really beautiful in this classical way. I love those kind of classic backs personally. And this deck has 55 cards. So as you're gonna see, the particularity of this deck is that it is inspired by the RWS, specifically Pamela Coleman Smith's art style, by Pixie's art style. And this is absolutely why I decided to go with this deck and to purchase it, because I'm a huge RWS lover. I'm a huge lover of Pixie's art style, and to have a deck that is inspired by her art style that I could pair with all of my traditional RWS felt absolutely awesome. On each of the cards, you're gonna see we have an object, like everyday object of the time, and we have a keyword that is depicting what is on the card. So this doesn't have kind of keywords in the traditional sense, such as confidence or despair, but it's definitely one that is more intuitive, I would say. Personally, I have found that this is a great one for divination and fortune telling, for predictive kind of reading, because it kind of reads like a Lenormand with more cards, and obviously with meanings that you could associate yourself, or again, you have the PDF guidebook to help you kind of understand the meanings that the creator had chosen. I personally use this very intuitively, and like I said, I use it in almost like a Lenormand kind of way. Very good for predictive reading, very good for divination, for looking at the week ahead, the months ahead, the energies of the future, stuff like that. This is another one I have not had for long, but that has already proven to be a sharpshooter. I adore the art style. With RWS, with an RWS, it looks absolutely stunning, obviously, because as you can tell, it's very inspired by Pixie's art style, so together they make the perfect pairing. Like I said, this artist also has a Lenormand, I think, so for those of you who like to work with this system, you can use a Lenormand. Instead of having a woman or a man card, we have the hat and we have the bonnet, I think, so that you can use for significator cards, and we have a really good balance of objects, 55 cards, so there's tons of stuff. I personally assign my own meanings to them because I find this one very fluid, very intuitive. And so this is when you can be sure you'll be seeing a lot more on my readings channel, the Waves of Your Soul readings, because I've been enjoying it, using it for myself, and I'm excited to use it for you guys. So that is the Hellenic Oracle. Let's move on to tarot decks, as this is what I have the most of, and you guys, I have some amazing gems I cannot wait to share with you, and I'm gonna start with probably my favorite deck that you can find on NPC, and I'm very biased because it was created by one of my dear friends, Angie from A Cup of Tarot, here on YouTube and on Instagram. I'll make sure to link her channel down below. She's a fantastic Filipino creator and tarot reader, and she's my friend, so I love her very much. And so she created a deck inspired by her Indian heritage called the Sundar Tarot. She very kindly sent me a copy when she created it, and I am obsessed, you guys. So of course I'm gonna have to start with this one. This is a 100 card tarot deck, meaning you have tons of options. Okay, all of these are actually extra cards that I've chosen to kind of remove because these are the ones that I have not included in my deck, but you get so many options of extra cards to pick from. You get extra court cards, you get extra minors, you get extra major arcana. There are tons of cards for you to choose from, so you can really make this deck your own. I love that. I think Angie has really given us the most. She has done her big one here for sure. This deck was created with the help of AI. Here are the backs, and I adore this one. I really adore this tarot deck. I use it all the time. I actually need to bring it back out on the Waves of Your Soul readings channel because I miss it. It's been too long. And like I said, this is inspired by Angie's Indian heritage, the Sundar Tarot. Absolutely stunning RWS reinterpretation based on India and different festivals and different cultural elements from India, and I adore this one so much. It's beautiful, the colors are vibrant, and whilst it was created with AI, Angie has spent a lot of time editing it, curating it, changing it. This is not one of those AI decks where you're gonna see six fingers on a hand and an elephant with like 5 legs. No, she spent a lot of time actually curating everything and spending time editing things, and so there was a lot of hard work and love that was poured into this deck, and you really feel it. And I'm not saying that because I, love Angie and she's a lovely person. You can really feel it in the deck, because I know that a lot of you out there who picked up the deck have told me the same thing, that it feels like it really holds loving energies, and you can feel how much work and intention was poured into this particular deck. It's really, really special, and especially because it represents Indian culture, which sadly is not a culture we see a lot of on tarot, and yet I know there's so many Indian tarot readers out there. So I'm really glad that Angie has created a deck inspired by her culture, because it's not a culture I find that we see a lot on tarot decks and oracle decks. So I'm super happy to see this represented, and like I said, it reads like a dream. I love all of the choices we get, so you can really make the deck your own. On top of that, Angie is a lovely person, so that is always a bonus, when a deck is created by someone who's really nice. I think you can feel it in the cards, their intention, their good vibes. Suits have been a little bit renamed. Instead of wands, we have flames. Instead of, I think the cups are still cups, and instead of swords, we have daggers. And instead of pentacles, we have earth. So nothing major, even for me who sometimes struggle with renaming. This one is perfectly fine, as it still matches the kind of traditional elemental association to the minor arcana. The majors has not been renamed. The court card have been renamed in line with Indian culture. So for queen, we have Rani. For king, we have Raja. Again, very easy to understand and to tie to traditional tarot, so absolutely no problem there. And I really adore this one so much. It's just so beautiful. I really, really love reading with it. I've used it a ton since Angie sent it to me, and I will cherish this one always because it's very special. So that is the Sundar Tarot, absolutely stunning. Let's continue with another one of my favorite creators that on NPC, one of my favorite people that shares their deck on NPC, that is Rosebay Tarot. And again, Rosebay you can find has an Instagram page and a YouTube channel where she shares all of her creation walkthroughs and stuff, so I'll make sure to leave that in the description box. She's such a nice person, so kind, and an amazing tarot and oracle creatrix. It is my goal eventually to own all of her decks. So far I only have two though. The first one I'll share very quickly because it's out of print, so this one you can't find anymore, but because this is my collection and it's for my fellow art lovers, I'll still share it here, as I know a lot of you still like to see out of print decks for the joy of seeing the art. Sistine Tarot, by Rosebay Tarot. This was her deck from last year. Again, this one is out of print because originally she only released it for a very short amount of time, as it was meant to be her own deck for like her own personal use. She very kindly let people purchase it for a little bit of time and then she put it away, but she's been creating tons of other decks before and continuing to create tons of decks after, so I'll share the other one I have here. In this one we had some horoscope cards, like astro cards, which I use all the time when I do my astro readings on my other channels, the Waves of Your Soul readings. I love those, they're awesome. Here are the backs of the Sistine Tarot. I think a lot of you will have seen it last year as it was very popular. A lot of us snagged it up and very much enjoyed it, so beautiful backings. And this is a collage deck. All of her decks you can feel have a very beautiful intention. Again, you can feel the amount of work, you can feel the intention, you can feel the energy of the person. This one is very much a celebration of the divine feminine. It feels like a Venusian deck. It feels a little bit like a Libra, this deck. I don't know if it's all the roses or the hearts. It feels like a Venusian deck for sure. A deck that helps you type with, your divine feminine side. Really, really beautiful. It's one I like to use when I know I need to connect with that particular side of myself. For me, it feels quite spiritual, this deck, and I've tend to use it for myself mostly because I have a special connection to it. I love the choice of the font that she's chosen. It's really cool, and this moon card is probably one of my favorite cards. It's really awesome. So that's the Sistine Tarot, really beautiful. It's out of print, but I wanted to share it for the love of the art and for celebrating Rosebay talent. But like I said, she's got other awesome decks, and I'm sharing with you the other one I have from hers, which is absolutely stunning. Let's get into it. The other deck from her Rose Base that I have from Make Playing Cards is this one, the Lacrimosa Tarot. This one she published earlier this year. I think she's working on a few decks, like on a serpent deck, like inspired by snakes and serpents. I think she's working on a deck inspired by blue tones. She's such a prolific creatrix, honestly. She is like super inspiring, super creative, so definitely go and check out what she does, as I'm sure there'll be something to your liking. Here are the backs of the Lacrimosa Tarot, and this time it's a deck that reuses traditional art. All of the backs are slightly different shades of blacks, which I think is super cool. I love that personally. And here, like I said, we have a deck that reuses traditional art style, except that Rose Bay has chosen parts of each art style and has added black around it and has kind of manipulated it on digitally to give it this very like gothic kind of vibe, which is so cool. Okay, this might be my favorite deck of hers. I love the Sistine Tarot, but this one is really, really cool. I've put it back in order for you guys, and then I did that for this one and another one, and then I gave up with the others. So I'm sorry, I tried, but I was like, oh, I'll put them all back in order for you, and then I gave up halfway through. But with this one I did it, and we're gonna go through it. So as you can see, it's really unique because it zooms in on certain elements of the painting, and with the black background that she added on all of the cards, it really gives it this very unique feel. It feels very gothic and also romantic. Think, for me, if the Bronte sisters had a tarot deck, this is the deck they would have, in my mind. Okay, this is what the Bronte sisters would read tarot with, or Mary Shelley maybe. You know, it's giving that like kind of romantic / gothic vibe, which is really special, and this is really, really cool. I know a lot of you again have this one and love it. This is another one that you can get with lots of different choices. So you can get it with gilding, with no gilding. You can get it with the names of the major arcana written, no names. Really, always with rose-based decks, you have options of like customization, which are awesome. I think it really allows for people to get the deck where they want. For my copy, I don't have any gilding, as I want to edge it in black eventually, and I've have the version without any names on it in the majors, because that's what I like. But again, you can do it as you want. Unique deck in my collection there. I don't have a ton of decks that read this way. Maybe the Bohemian Gothic is the closest one in terms of vibes and energy, and yet I think the Bohemian Gothic feels a little bit like cheeky. This one feels more serious, if that makes sense. So cool. We have renaming, so instead of cups we have hearts. I think wands are wands, right? I forgot. Let's go back, like literally goldfish memory. Yeah, wands are wands. Hearts, cups are hearts, swords are still swords, and then I think pentacles are coins. So nothing too major in terms of renaming, very easy to like navigate, follows the traditional RWS symptom. But if you're a newbie at tarot, then maybe not the easiest deck to use, as you can see very much zooms in on the images, so you need a little bit of a knowledge, I think, in terms of traditional tarot to navigate it, or you could use it fully intuitively. But for those of you who already are quite familiar with the tarot system and want a deck that will take you to this very like moody, romantic, gothic world, this is absolutely stunning, and it reads like a dream. I need to use this for you guys because it's really special. So this is one I need to bring out on my readings channel for you very soon. This is such a cool card. I love this one so much. So that's the Lacrimosa Tarot. Like I said, I think Rose Bay is working on other decks at the moment. They're all cool. She's a lovely person. Go and support her. Another one of my favorite content creator, or tarot creator I should say, on MPC is actually Queen of Wands. Again, I'll make sure to leave a link of it in the description box. This particular creator has two decks reusing like photography, stock photography, and both of these decks are some of my favorite decks in my collection. So let's talk about it. The first one is a huge favorite, you guys. This is the Naturescapes Tarot. As you've seen, all of the decks I have, most of the decks I have from MPC, I end up putting in my pouches. You can pay for like tins and stuff, but for me, because I order in Reunion, I try and get the cheapest options because I get taxed for the MPC decks I order sometimes, and if it's more than a certain amount, it gets more tax. So I try and avoid like getting any tin or anything like that. I get the basic option because then I get pouches anyway made by my friends or my mom who loves sewing. So but you can get tins, you can get boxes a lot of the time. So as I mentioned, this is the Naturescape Oracle. Here are the backs. This is one of my absolute favorite decks in my tarot collection. It's a nature-based deck and it is so special. It really, really is special. The reason why I love this creator so much is that you can tell that they absolutely understand tarot and that they have a very smart way at looking at tarot. We just feel like we speak the same speak, if that makes sense. Like the vision they have for tarot, when you look at the cards they've chosen for each of the archetype, for me, it makes absolute sense. Like there is not one card I would change. Every time I use this deck and I see the option for each of the cards, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. So that's why I love their deck so much, is because it feels very smart, very like in tune with tarot, with the archetype of tarot, with the meaning of tarot. And because personally, the way that I connect to spirituality is through nature. Nature is my church. That's my way of connecting to the universe, spirit, God, whatever you guys like to call it. For me, I connect to this idea of something larger than me through nature. So a deck like this is actually very spiritual for me. It's a deck I use to connect with my guides, with, again, God, spirit, the universe, whatever you guys like to call it. And it works wonderful in that sense. On top of that, the images chosen are all absolutely stunning, and again, they just make sense. I can't tell you, there's really not one card that I'm like, I don't see this tarot card here. Like the Queen of Pentacles with this mountain, yes, absolutely. Knight of Pentacle with the fields, Eight of Wands with these birds flying, migrating, absolutely. Little island in the middle of the ocean, yeah, that makes total sense. Three of Swords with these trees in the middle of the snow. I totally see the Three of Swords energy here. It's a very intuitive, very poetic, very special deck. This is not a deck for everyone, I don't think. A lot of people might not resonate because we don't have any humans. It very much steers away from traditional imagery, and yet every single person I know who owns this deck loves it. Like literally, this deck, for those of whom it's for, it ends up being a huge, huge favorite. Like this is kind of a niche deck, and yet it has such a cult following, I think. One of my favorite deck in my collection. I would never part with this deck. I think it's really clever, headache inspired. I think it is beautiful, and as far as I remember, it was super cheap. Like on MPC, it was one of the cheapest deck I bought, so super affordable. We are very lucky this particular creator is sharing their creations with us because it's really, really special. So that is the Naturescape Tarot, and again, one of my absolute favorite in my collection. I love it so much. Look at this Eight of Cups. Oh, I can't. So good. Just one more. Four of Pentacles, and then we'll finish Five of Swords. Look at that. Oh, just stunning. The other deck by the same creator that I also found on MPC is again a deck that uses stock imagery and like photography. This time it's called the Architectural Objects Tarot. Here are the backs, and as the name suggests, we're not talking about nature here, but we're actually talking about human-made architectural objects, so like doors, statues, buildings, and things like that. This is so cool. I prefer personally the Naturescape because, like I said, I have a very strong affinity to nature decks, and it's my way of connecting to my guides and things like that. But this one is still so awesome. Again, another one where all of the choices are perfect, where you can tell this creator is extremely smart and extremely in tune with tarot meanings. Very, very clever way of looking at tarot and of seeing tarot in day-to-day life, in things that are part of our everyday life that we might see when we travel or when we walk around a city. Another one that I know is very beloved by the few people who have it, not one I see a lot, but the few people who I know have this deck. absolutely adore it. It's another one that I think is very intuitive. We have the Chariot, so this is definitely a different vibe from the Naturescape, and yet you can tell they belong in the same world. Still a little bit differently, I would say. I have found that this one is more willing to go like everyday kind of readings for me, if that makes sense, whereas the Naturescapes tend to feel more like spiritual. I have found that this one really loves to read for everyday matters, like career readings or everyday kind of readings, like very much day-to-day kind of matters. It can go spiritual, but it really loves to chat for day-to-day things, whereas the Naturescape Tarot feels more spiritual to me. Again, it's very personal kind of analysis. Obviously, it's my own personal experience with the deck. I'm not saying that's how you guys will associate with it or read with it, but to me, this one feels more day-to-day and like really good for reading around practical day-to-day matters, whereas the Naturescapes feel more spiritual. And look, this is my favorite card, obviously, the Page of Wands with the Hobbit Hole. Come on, this is genius. And the Page of Wands is one of my favorite cards in tarot anyway, so I love this so much. Bilbo going on an adventure for the Page of Wands is just, it's perfect. It's smart, it's clever, it's unique, it's a very different kind of interpretation to tarot, and yet it opens your horizons, forces you outside your comfort zone, forces you to look at tarot through a new lens. I love decks like that. I love decks that pushes me outside my comfort zone. This one definitely does, so it's really great. I'm so grateful this creator has put her decks on NPC, and again, very affordable last time I checked, so absolutely one I would recommend you guys checking. Let's talk about a deck that is very much on its way to be one of my favorite deck of 2025. It's a deck I got earlier this year and I cannot stop using it, you guys. I'm obsessed, and it's one I found on NPC, and I'm so glad we can pick it up again, because for a while it was out of print. It's been my unicorn deck for ages, and the creator put it back on NPC earlier this year. I snatched it up and it's been a huge favorite ever since. You probably have seen me talk about it already quite a bit this year. It is the Hilda Tarot. This is the Gingham edition. This was curated by Regretti Spaghetti. Originally, Hilda is a pinup from the 60s that was created by Duane Bryers, and then this particular deck was compiled from pre-existing images of Hilda by Regretti Spaghetti on Instagram. Again, I'll make sure to leave the link in the description box. This is absolutely gorgeous, right? This is a celebration of the female form. It's a celebration of joy, and it's just a really awesome deck. Here are the backs. This is on linen cardstock, really cool, very flexible, easy to shuffle, and a lot of you will be familiar with Hilda, I'm sure. She was a famous pinup from the 60s and 70s. What stands her apart from other pinups is that she's very curvy, she's got a lot of sass and a whole lot of ass, and she is also very clumsy and yet very confident in herself, and she's just a representation of absolute joy and of being unapologetically yourself. So I love Hilda as a concept, as like a creation, but this particular Hilda Tarot is genius. I'm telling you guys, this is currently very much on its way to be part of my favorite decks of 2025. I cannot stop using it. I think every single choice of artwork of chosen for each of the tarot archetype makes so much sense. It's so smart. It's very unapologetic and bold. It has a point of view. It's a celebration of the female body. It's a celebration of being confident in yourself, not giving two shit about what people think. It's just Hilda living her best life with her dog and her animals in nature. Like, what's not to love, right? She just encourages us to be happy, be joyful, not care about people's opinion, embrace life to the fullest, grab joy when it comes, eat the slice of cake, like lie in the grass, read the book, and not take yourself too seriously. And I think this is everything we need at this like moment in life, where everything feels very serious and dense for good reasons. There's a lot of shit happening in the world. Sometimes we need decks that remind us to embrace life, to see the joy in life, to embrace how we look, just how we look without trying to change ourselves, and to embrace little moments that make life special, right? And I think this deck reminds me of that, which is why it's definitely been my go-to self-care deck recently in the last few months since I've had this, and I really, really adore it. I've used it on my other channels, the Waves of Your Soul readings, and you guys loved it as well. I had great comments when I used this one. And again, the person who curated the deck, such a good job at choosing images to match with all the archetypes. I think you really see that they understand tarot down, like they know what they're doing, right? And we see Ace of Pentacles, yeah, makes sense, looking for gold, absolutely. 9 of Pentacles, enjoying cherries with a dog and lying in the grass, yeah, so 9 of Pentacles. Like the Hierophant, reading a book to the animals in the garden, so gorgeous, very joyful, one of the most joyful deck in my collection. I'm so happy to have my hands on it. Like I said, it was out of print for a really long time, and then recently the person put it back on MPC for us, and I'm so grateful because I love it so much and I can't stop using it, and it's a joy. So definitely I recommend you guys having a look at this one because it's awesome. I have a lot of friends who have ended up picking it up for themselves and they love it. It's just a joy. Look at this hermit. I love it. And I can't lie, that cute little dog is also part of why I love this deck so much, because come on, what's not to love? It's so cute. So I hope you're still comfy and hanging in there, but let's talk about the Enchanted Romance Tarot. This is one of the first decks I bought on MPC back in 2019 or 2018. I don't remember, but like literally before COVID and everything, because then during COVID for about a few years I couldn't order on MPC, and then recently they've opened again, so there was a time where I couldn't get anything, but this was way before that. This is by Cherry Enchantress. I hope this is still available because I've had this deck for so long, I don't even know. Hopefully it is. If it is, I'll put it in the description box. It is the one I have is on 78 Superior Smooth card, and it's the basic edition with booklet. This is a deck that, as the name suggests, Enchanted Romance was created for like romantic kind of readings, interpersonal relationship kind of readings. Comes with a little guidebook with just some keywords, and you have the YouTube channel of the creator right here. Awesome, really stunning. I love these backs, very pretty. And as the name suggests, it is a deck that was tailored for like romantic readings, interpersonal relationship readings. This one reuses traditional classical art, and there's a lot of those on MPC. There's a lot of decks that people have created reusing art, pre-existing artwork, which is awesome. So you are bound to find one you like. Like I said, this is one of the first decks I purchased on MPC back in like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. So at the time there wasn't as many options for those kinds of decks, but now there's definitely a few. I really like this one because it feels very much romantic, right, in the style. For those of you who've been lusting after the Victorian romantic and haven't been able to get a copy, or it's too expensive, or because it's now out of print and stuff, you can't find a copy of it, this is a good option, I think, because it gives that Victorian romantic vibe without, obviously, it's not the same images or anything like that, but it does give that aesthetic, while some of the art is art that we see, you know, often. Like this one, for example, is one we often see being used by other decks reusing classical art. Some of them feel a little bit different, like this 9 of Pentacles, for example, I had never seen before used in another deck. So this one is really cool. I really like it. It reads really well, specifically for romantic readings. For readings, I love this one. For readings like about interpersonal relationship, about love in all of its shape or form, and specifically for those of you who have been lusting after the Victorian romantic, couldn't get your hands on it, this is definitely a good option. I love this Knight of Wands, it's really beautiful. Yeah, I think the choices are really smart, and I love art like decks that reuses classical art anyway. They are ones I really enjoy. You know, I've got a ton. This is another video I should be doing at some point on my channel, decks that uses pre-existing art, classical art. It feels a little bit Arthurian legend inspired. It's giving Lancelot du Lac vibe, which I'm here for. and so I wanted to shout it out. It's not one I see a lot, so there you go. I wanted to share it with you. The Enchanted Romance Tarot, very cool, and I like the purple. Before we move on to the next one, I forgot to say in the intro, but shipping has really much increased on MPC. 5-6 years ago it was not that much, but in recent years it's really hiked up, at least to ship to where I am in Reunion. So for me, I found it best to wait until I have like 2 to 3 decks to make the shipping price worth it. It doesn't make the price go down. It just makes me feel less bad for spending this amount of shipping for 3 decks rather than this amount of shipping for 1 deck, especially as sometimes I can get taxed where I am, and so it's easy. So it usually turns out cheaper to pay the tax for 3 decks than for the tax for 1, you know? I know it sounds like girl math, but trust me. So I don't know what it's going to be like for you guys where you live, but for me, over the years, I've found that definitely it's more worth it to order 2 to 3 decks at once from APC. I'll wait until I have a few I want, because it's definitely not worth it financially for me to pay all of that amount of shipping and tax for just 1 deck. Okay, let's move on to RWS kind of clones, RWS renditions that I have from MPC and that I adore. The first one is the RWS Mundi, the Jules and Frost edition. This is a deck that was created by the lovely Nova Mundi that you can find here on YouTube. I'll make sure to leave her YouTube channel down below. She's a fellow tarotuber, and so you can find all of her decks walkthroughs on her channel. She's got RWS renditions, and I think she's doing Toth as well. I'm an RWS girly, so I got her RWS version. The really cool thing about this deck is, first, as you can see, it's definitely smaller, so it's more, I would say, playing card size. I don't know exactly the size, but it's smaller than stereotypical tarot deck, so it's been living in my bag because it's very easy to carry around. The other second really cool thing about this one is that it's double-sided. So on one side you have this super colorful version of the RWS clone that Nova has changed the colors of, and on the other side you have blues. So this is all of blues and purple. This is for the Jules and Frost, but she has another version where on one side it's black and white, and on the other side it's red or orange. I forgot. I don't remember, but this is the one I wanted because I loved to have one side blue, and I loved all the colorful sides here. I think this is my favorite side, the Jules one. It's so bright and really cool and poppy. The other super cool thing about Nova's decks for this RWS one is that she asked a few of us tarot tubers for our favorite spreads, and they are included here. So you've got a few spreads by fellow tarot content creators, and they're on lots of different themes, and she very kindly asked me if I wanted to participate. So I gave her one of my favorite spreads, which is called Boost Your Tarot Skills, and so if you purchase the deck, you can find it in there. I don't get anything out of that. I'm not sponsored or anything. I'm just shouting out. You can see like Rose Bay made one. We have Honeyloo, Tammy Pie, my friend Niha from Dark Fate Tarot. There's lots of cool people who have created spreads, and they are included with these decks, which is great. So it gives you a little idea of how you could use your deck as well. This is RWS. You guys know what the RWS look like, but I love the choices that Nova has made. The colors are super bright, and this is my favorite side because I love bright colors. I'm a huge color lover, and this one really pops out. Every time I've read with this one for people, they love it because it's really like, you know, it stands out. It's really bright and poppy and fun. People really, really enjoy this one, and I do too. I love the size. It's easy to like take around. It's on this, it's not plastic, but it feels coated, this particular cardstock, so it feels super durable. Like I've definitely taken it outside and stuff, and it's completely fine. So for me, it's my deck, my go-to deck right now to take out when I know I'm going somewhere and my friends are gonna want a reading or something. This is the one I take out because it feels durable, easy to use, bright, fun, and really cool. And it's really awesome that we get 2 decks for 1 because, again, on the other side you get the deck but in blue and purple. So RWS Mundi, Jules and Frost, we love. The other RWS that I have from MPC, which is another huge favorite actually of mine, it comes in a plain white box, and it is the Re-Envisioned Tarot, I think it's called. Let's check. Yeah, Re-Envisioned Smithwaite Tarot. This is by the Art Occultist. As you can see, they have created lots of other cool decks. I don't have their other ones. I would love to get their diverse RWS at some point. And yeah, they do a lot of cool different kinds of decks, so definitely check them out. I'll make sure to leave the link in the description box. This one I found out completely at random. I was doom scrolling MPC as one does, probably way too late, having insomnia, and I found this particular deck and I fell in love. Here are the backs, and this is an RWS version, but instead of your stereotypical RWS, this creator has added backgrounds of landscape and replaced the landscape with nature backgrounds, which makes this deck so stunning. I love this so much. This is one of my favorite RWS because it seems simple to have like nature background instead of the instead of Pixie's art style, and yet it really takes this deck somewhere else. It gives another layer to the reading, and I absolutely adore it so much. So this is like one of my absolutely all-time favorite RWS. I use it all the time. Another one you will have seen if you watch my readings on the Waves of Your Soul readings, because I'm always bringing it out, and every time I bring it out, I mean, look at this. Every time I bring it out, I get comments from people being like, wow, this is so beautiful. And I agree, this is really beautiful. This is a really stunning interpretation of the RWS. It's a clone, but having added the nature background in the back, I don't know, it's just really stunning, and it is a vibe, you guys. What can I say? Obviously, this is for my RWS lovers. If you don't like the RWS or Pamela Coleman Smith's art style, this is not for you. But for those of you like me who think it's beautiful and awesome, this is one you will enjoy for sure. We have the ocean in front of this Two of Pentacles. It's so cool. It's so cool. I love this so much, and it's one of my favorite finds on MPC. I found this at random, like I said. I was doom scrolling and I was so happy to have found this because, you know what, zero regrets. I use this all the time, and it's really, really well thought out, I think, and really beautiful. It's just a joy to use. You know, it's one of those that it feels good to use. I love the fact that we have Le Mont Saint-Michel on the Five of Cups. I think that's beautiful. And look at this Six of Swords. Oh, it's just so cool. Yeah, I love this deck very much. It's like I was telling you guys, you know, with MPC, sometimes you gotta be scrolling, you gotta be sleuthing, and you'll find some gems. This is one I never see anyone talk about. Maybe it's not very well known, I don't know. And yet I know so many of my fellow RWS lovers would love it because it's really, it's quite unique, you know, for an RWS. It's a unique reinterpretation. The re-envisioned Smith-Waite Tarot, awesome. And let's finish on this fool. How stunning. Yeah, no notes. Gorgeous. Let's move on to a almost Tarot Oracle hybrid. This is kind of a deck that you can use many different kinds of ways. You're gonna see. It's called the Narrative Alchemy Tarot. It's by Chrissy Bentley, who is a fellow tarot content creator. I think she has a YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'll make sure to leave the link to this deck down below. There's a guidebook that you can get for this one. Here are the backs. Really like those backs, super beautiful. And this is really cool because it is a deck that really that can help you work with colors, with tarot, with keywords, and with chakras. So on each of the cards, you're gonna see have a keyword. So here we have grounded, we have a color, and we have a tarot association. So there's 78 cards, one for each of the tarot. Each card is a different color, so you can use this for working with a chakra. You can use this again as a tarot deck. There are 78 cards, so you can use this using the numerological association here. You can use it as an oracle deck using the keyword, and you can use it as a spread making deck, which is actually how I'm using it and how I plan on using it more in the future, because I was thinking of using this actually to create spreads, putting a few cards and then adding tarot on top. So using like the keywords on the cards as an initiating point for creating spreads. So there's tons of ways you can use this one, and this one has a lot of walkthroughs on YouTube. There's a lot of people who have made videos about this one, so you can find lots of different ways to use it. It's really cool. I think it's very unique. Really, this is one of those that the sky is the limit right? Everyone is going to find a different way to use it. Maybe one day you just want to use a keyword. Maybe one day you want to use a tarot association. Maybe one day you want to do a chakra reading. Maybe one day you want to create a spread or work with the colors. There's so many ways to use it, and it's a really cool one. I don't think I've ever shared this one on my channel because I was putting it back in color order for you guys, and I was watching TV the other day and I realized I don't think I've ever shared this one on my channel. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes decks come in between holes, or I've had decks for a long time and I realize I haven't really shared it on my channel. So it's not like I'm keeping secrets, it's more that I have the memory of a goldfish. So there we go. I am remedying my mistakes in case I've never shared this on my channel. This was the time, as you can get this on MPC. For those of you looking for a color deck, this is a great option, and it's interesting to relate it to the tarot archetypes. So for the Hierophant, we have Inquire, for example. We have Perspective for the Hanged One, and then again you have all of the minors based on elements, and for the court cards it goes up to 11, 12, 13, 14 for Page, Knight, Queen, and King. So really cool. We're gonna wrap it up with one of my latest acquisition, actually, from MPC, by one of my favorite people to watch on TarotTube, Chanel from Chanel Days. If you guys are not watching Chanel's channel, wow, that's hard to say when you have a French accent, okay? If you guys are not watching Chanel channel, you should. I'll make sure to leave her channel down in the description box because she's a sweetie, she's awesome, and she has really cool decks that she created up for grabs on MPC. This is, I believe, one of her latest creation. It is the Limerence Tarot. Here are the back. It doesn't come with a guidebook in terms of like a leaflet or PDF, but it comes with those cards, title cards with keywords, which for me is definitely enough. And this is a collage deck that Chanel created, but she has a few decks out, and so this is another one I managed to put back in order for you guys before I gave up and didn't put the other ones in order. So I did like 3 out of 13. That's not too bad, right? I'm a terrible YouTuber, we know that. This is, like I said, one of the most recent decks I have from MPC. It was in my latest MPC haul. Again, if you haven't seen that latest haul video, I'll share it in the cards. And I think Chanel has a few decks that look awesome, and she has all of the walkthroughs of her decks on her channel. So if you want to see all the cards, you can, which is awesome. As like I said, on MPC you can only see a few cards on the preview, but she has given us the whole preview on her channel, so that's really cool. We have a few lovers options and they're all beautiful. I leave all of mine in because I love them all, and this is my favorite one that she's created. I think she's just done something really special here. It's bright, it's colorful, it's bold, it's really unique for a collage deck. It's like there's just something very unique about it, very intentional about it, and she's just done awesome. She can be super proud of herself. Look at this Justice card, it's so cool. I love collage decks anyway. I have quite a few, but for me now, because I have quite a few, they have to have a point of view, they have to be unique and different and have a voice, right? Now I'm looking for collage decks that have a voice, and this one definitely does. It feels like 1970s Americana a little bit, like Lolita, the book, but it also feels a bit like Venusian and a little bit of a Scorpio. I don't know, there's something, it's like a mix between a Libra and a Scorpio, this deck. I love how some of the cards are more modern looking, some of them reuses more classical art style. It's just really cool. Chanel has done something really special here. I really, really like it, and I've been enjoying getting to know it recently, as I've not had this one for very long. Very busy, but I love that. I'm a maximalist at heart. I don't really like decks that are very minimalist. That's not my vibe. Give me more. That's what I like. I love this Queen of Coins. She's me. This is how I envision my future. Surrounded by books and decks. Yes, queen. And Chanel is a huge book lover like I am. She has a book channel actually, which is cool. Make sure to follow that for my fellow book lovers as well. But yeah, look at this 8 of Wands. So cool. It's just very bright, very bold, and a unique perspective. To finish on this one, because it's my most recent acquisition, and because I know a lot of you, I think, fellow tarot lovers and maximalist lovers will enjoy. It reads like a dream, and it's, look at this Ten of Cups. I think that's my favorite card. It's so beautiful. There's something very poetic as well about this deck. You can feel like Chanel put a lot of intention behind it. It doesn't feel like a random collage, like, oh, let's try and find something that looks pretty. No, it feels very, very intentional, and I really appreciate that. You can feel it right in the vibration, in the egregore of the deck, and I really like that. I also love this Five of Swords. Yeah, so I adore this one. I wanted to shout it out at the end, and Chanel, if you're watching, you can be proud of yourself because it's beautiful. So that's the Limerence Tarot. That's the last deck I wanted to share with you guys today. I would love to know what are your favorite decks on Make playing cards. Obviously, I don't have all of the cool ones, so let me know. Word of mouth and comments is how we can all spread the love. Go and support all of these wonderful creators. They deserve support and love and encouragement for their creations. And if you enjoyed this particular video, then you can leave a little thumbs up. You can subscribe. You can subscribe to my other channels, Waves of Your Soul Readings. All of those things are free, but hey, they make me happy. So, you know, help your girl out. Give a little thumbs up. It doesn't take very long, but it definitely makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for those of you who voted on my poll saying this is a video you wanted to see, as it really helped focus on what I should create next. I hope it was everything you hoped for. And until my next video, I want to send so many good vibes. I hope you're taking good care of yourself, and I will see you soon, internet. Bye!